will not say how many children are missing. What we've been told is that officially there are about 100 people who have died in the fires, but there are 1,000 people missing. Now, how many days later? Here's what the mayor of Maui has to say.
I don't know.
Yes, you do. How many children are missing? You know.
I need the answer to that. I'd be happy to answer that.
You have no estimate as to how many children are missing?
I guess
Nothing?
we can end this right now if you guys want. Sorry,
This is one of the biggest questions that the people of Lahaina have, and you don't want to answer it.
It always takes one or two to ruin it for everybody.
Every time an illegal alien child at the border caught a cold during the Trump administration, it was national headline news, AOC pretending to cry outside the gates. But 1,000 people potentially, Maui, many of them, if not most of them, children, and nothing, a media blackout. The mayor of Maui.
So what we realize is there is obviously a bias. There's obviously a way people are doing this, looking at it, and they are doing the emphasis towards what fits their narrative. They are only bringing out what fits their narrative. And you're seeing this on all sides. You got AOC over there pretending, as Michael said, to cry with what's going on. Now, there's a number of things that are going on in the news today, in the world. There's so many things. First of all, we need to pray for 45. We need to be praying for the people in leadership, because I believe we're coming into a moment of convergence, not only for prophetic awakening, for good things happening, but there's also a convergence that's descending upon the culture. And this convergence is causing people to recognize the darkness that's trying to pervade or just come across the landscape. And we're seeing that happen at a very big way. And it's a mighty response that God's giving us. I actually feel a momentum to stand against this. Now, many times in this broadcast, we talk about when there's big news, keep your eye on the small news. And it's really important that we do that. And I want to show you another thing just in a moment. But before I do, let me make another comment on these Maui kids. First of all, I think that everybody who feels the impact of this, whether you're a viewer right now live and in real time, or whether you're somebody that's hearing this for the first time, there's a lot of kids missing over there. And consequently, this is not, I don't know if you know this, but this is not the first time there's been a major fire over in Maui. In 2018, there was a fire and a very similar narrative happened, and the people cried out and said, hey, we need to get some better things and safety protocols in place, alarms, knowing what's going on, all that. When this fire went down, there's many people just trying to put it to the side, saying, oh, listen to Oprah, listen to The Rock, listen to all these people, but these wicked global people that are, in so many words, stealing people's territory that are native to this arena and this area, they're really hiding a greater narrative. There is an outcry that should be happening. And let me just say this as clearly as I can. We should be contacting our representatives. We should be contacting the people in charge, so to speak, of these areas. And if you feel compelled to do that, I encourage you, contact. Say, we demand some form of Freedom of Information Act, that we want to know where these kids are. When the mayor can't tell you where they are, something is wrong with this picture. When you got that many children missing, and they're saying there's only 100 or so that are, a few hundred that have had the loss of life, yet we look at it, and some reports are saying it's astronomical numbers, well beyond that. And this is on our soil as they're taking taxpayer dollars to support a wicked battle going on over in another nation, which ultimately, hear me now, they are trying to get the U.S. into. The U.S. is already helping out with what's going on there, but they're trying to get, I believe, our boots on the ground and get us to get into a conflict directly with the hammer and sickle. I believe that is part of the narrative that's going on. Now, I have this word for years, by the way, about North Korea. I've had this prophetic word where I saw evangelism, unprecedented evangelism, going in to North Korea and winning them over and beginning to, for lack of a better word, actually have real evangelism in that nation. And the Lord spoke to me, this is many years ago, and I think you can still find the clip somewhere, where I saw like the Berlin Wall going down of our generation to an impossible hermit nation, and there would be evangelism that took place. And this is something that I still believe is God's will and desire, and yet it looks impossible with the narrative we're seeing right now, as you see North Korea teaming up with the Red Dragon, Hammer and Sickle, all these things, and they want to begin to start their own league against our culture. Now, in the small news, let me say this to you. One of the things that I just recognized was this. A few seasons back, and even over the last several months, I've prophesied about Iran. Iran is part of the prophetic narrative I keep seeing. So if I could, let me show you an article that just came out yesterday from Iran. And this is on September 11th, 2023. This article came up, but look at this. Iran can produce 10 nuclear bombs in 4 months, Watchdog says, as Biden releases $6 billion to Tehran, its weapons capacity expands. What are you giving that much resources to them for when they're going to go ahead and build this? I might not be a smart man, but I know what economics does to the wrong hands, okay? Let's keep looking. I'm just going to read this to you a little bit. It says, Iran now has the capacity to fuel 6 nuclear warheads in 1 month's time and 10 within 4 months, according to an analyst of the latest data released by the nuclear watchdog. Iran has the resources and technical know-how to produce enough weapons-grade uranium for 6 nuclear weapons. 6 in 1 month. 8 in 2 months. 9, get these numbers, in 3 months, and 10 in 4 months. That means in 10 months, they could have 4 nukes. According to the Institute for Science and International Security, a think tank that reviewed the latest disclosures about Tehran's atomic stockpile from the International Atomic Energy Agency, this is significantly faster than the 3 to 4 months it would have taken Iran to build just 1 nuclear weapon in 20. When economic sanctions were at their strictest. Who was in charge then? My goodness. Before the Manchurian Candidates administration, I don't know if you've noticed this, we've called them that for the last 2-3 years, and suddenly 45 is now using that term. I find that interesting, kind of a prophetic significance. But look at this, as we've called him the Manchurian Candidate, that suddenly he comes out, he's like, 45 is calling him, he's the Manchurian Candidate. That's who they have. Okay, let's keep looking here. Before he took office, now it would take Iran just 12 days to produce the fuel needed for its first nuclear warhead and a total of 6 by the end of the month. This also is an increase from May 23 estimates when it was thought that Iran had enough uranium to power 5 nuclear weapons. Iran has been growing its stockpile of highly enriched uranium since the Manchurian Candidate took office and started diplomacy over a revamped version of the 2015 nuclear pact. In addition to not enforcing key sanctions on Iran, providing it access to nearly $45 billion in oil revenue, the administration recently freed up an additional $16 billion, a portion which was the result of a hostage deal with the hardline regime. Ladies and gentlemen, this is really serious. It is. Now listen, I got really good hope for you today. I'm not just stuck on this, and I don't believe it's the end of all things, but I got to tell you, it is very, very serious what we're looking at. I began to see an island, and there was a very disastrous image around this island. And as I began to see the island, it was either filled with difficulty, it was full of smoke and challenges, and I couldn't tell if it was some kind of volcanic activity or if it had to do with a man-made explosion. I didn't know what was going on here, and I began to pray about that. So that's something we need to pray over regarding an island that's somewhere in the next little while, that something difficult is going to begin to happen with that.
Breaking news tonight in Tonga. Check out this incredible new video of a massive underwater volcanic eruption, which triggered a tsunami warning for the region. You can see lightning in the plume of ash and multiple blasts. This happened about 2.5 hours ago.
The island made me think it was either Hawaii or it was some of the islands out in the sea, the tropical islands, the Caribbean islands, but my sense was maybe it was Hawaii. I'm not sure the exact island, but it was islands like this. And I remember being somewhat between the beach, in the middle of the beach, and the tree line in this vision. And as I was, suddenly, I was talking with people. I had, friends, family, our children, all these people were there. And suddenly, a bright light came over the horizon, and it flashed. And the bright light came over the horizon, and I remember thinking, we have but moments to escape this bright light. And it was coming over the horizon. And I remember turning my back to the light and running for metal doors. And there were large, large metal doors, and we began to run to them. And as we ran, I just had gotten into the door when I felt the heat begin to hit my body. And the heat was intense and severe. And I made it in and shut the door as the heat began to hurt my skin, and I made it into the door. And the Spirit of the Lord began to minister to me and say, we need to pray because there is more coming than we understand. There is more coming than we understand.
And good evening from here in Maui, where we have just learned that this is now the deadliest wildfire in modern U.S. history. And just behind us, this is the remnants of a house burned in another blaze, as the entire island is battling ideal conditions right now for wildfires. What we know about this tragedy is already unbearable. Nearly 100 dead, more than 2,000 homes and buildings destroyed. But we are still so far from understanding the full toll, and we'll explain why tonight. This is the overhead view of the sweeping devastation in Lahaina.
MG, wrong turn! Wrong turn! Oh.
Tonight, this is what it looked and felt like escaping the Lahaina wildfire.
Oh no, guys! No, we have to leave!
This new video showing the sheer panic as a family stuck in a line of cars had minutes to escape before the flames engulfed the road out.
This is a disaster.
This is a global takeover, this dominion spirit. It's straight out of the Antichrist playbook. And if you would, head right over here and watch this with me. Check this out.
Almost as if they all attended the same school of thought and studied under the same professor.
Some people would say this revolution is characterized by the fight of robots against human beings. And we will win this fight.
Professor Klaus Schwab was born in 1938.
You can hear the love on his voice. There's a lot of love in that voice, right? He said, "We will do what we tell you to do. It will be good." It's like the tone of love. I'm kidding, of course. Let's keep watching these lizards.
Crimes against humanity were committed. His father, Eugene Wilhelm Schwab, was the managing director of Escher Weiss Ravensburg, a company that used slave labor to manufacture weapons of war for the Third Reich. While his father was at the helm, the Nazi Party awarded Escher Weiss Ravensburg the title of National Socialist Model Company. Years later, Klaus Schwab joined the board of directors at Escher Weiss Ravensburg, where he played a key role in the development of South Africa's nuclear weapons program during the darkest years of the racist apartheid regime.
Terrible.
Today, Klaus Schwab is the founder and executive chairman of the World
Doesn't he look like somebody that's like a dictator out of the Star Trek franchise? He looks like what would he be? He looks like a Vulcan or a Klingon or something. He's just like, I'm here to tell you, you will do what we tell you to do. This is what we got going on here. Now, he is the chairman, the leader, the false messiah complex individual who wants to take over everything, and he happens to be the head of the World Economic Forum. Well, let's continue watching.
If you'd like to meet the people who are supposed to repair the state of the world, or give a piece of your mind to the bankers who helped get us into this mess, we can tell you where to find a lot of them. The World Economic Forum.
Founded in 1971, the World Economic Forum is an international private organization which receives billions of tax-free dollars from its members and their global enterprises. Every year, the WEF brings together
Emperor
its members
Palpatine.
with world leaders, big pharma executives, tech titans, Hollywood celebrities, media personalities, and internet influencers to meet in the secluded mountains
How dare you?
of Davos, Switzerland.
It is a tiny town folded into the Swiss Alps, a village where you could bump into Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, the head of Google, and the Queen of Jordan, all in one place. A lot of reporters cover the forum, but few get inside. It turns out there are two Davoses, one you see and one you don't. After hours, there are hundreds of private parties where deals are done. People who
Perverts,
can't be seen together in
sickos.
public can meet here.
Your Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished heads of state and
I'll get you,
government,
Austin
the
Powers.
future is built by us, by a powerful community as you here in this room.
Klaus Schwab, the founder of the WEF, is particularly upfront and even proud of its ability to shape and influence world politics.
I created the community of global shapers as a means, as a force to shape our common future.
And of course, their Global Young Leaders program is a grooming ground.
How
when they
wicked.
ultimately infiltrate
Grooming
power.
ground for the global young leaders, where they're taking in young people and mechanizing their thought process through this wicked ideology. Let's keep going.
We penetrate the cabinets.
They will likely tend to govern a certain way.
Nobody will be safe if not everybody is right.
The names and the countries he mentioned ended up being some of the most dystopian and authoritative during this pandemic.
How about that?
Names like Miss Merkel, Vladimir, and so on.
Other names? Jacinda Ardern, Sebastian Kurz, Mauricio Macri, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Ma, Gavin Newsom, Stefan Bancel, Chelsea Clinton, Leonardo DiCaprio, Sanjay Gupta, Dr. Leanna Wen, Alexander and Jonathan Soros, George Soros' sons, and several of the
Palpatine.
Rothschilds. And of course,
Now,
Oh.
who could represent
Castro's kid, right?
such a world better?
Show me Castro's kid. Let's see Castro's kid.
In 2014, Klaus Schwab called for the Great Reset,
We need a great reset.
which he positioned as the
We
solution.
need a great. He called for a great reset. We need a great reset. Ah, evil lizard goblins. Let's keep going.
Most urgent issues. The dark reality of Schwab's agenda is detailed in his best-selling book, The Great Reset.
The Great Reset.
His in-game mission is to replace independent governance with a top-down control, one world government, and a central bank-controlled digital currency.
Hey, you'll be happy.
You'll be happy. What they mean is you'll be enslaved. That's why they're talking about a great reset. That's why they're talking about introducing this quasi agenda. They know we've run the course where we cannot continue down the path of the ever-increasing indebtedness because we have a generation that quite literally cannot afford to buy a house.
Millions of Americans are priced out of buying a home.
And so it's easy to tell that generation, we're going to forgive your college debt,
Student debt relief.
and set your expectations low.
Yeah.
We're going to rent forever. We're going to celebrate the tiny house movement.
Yep.
We're going to do all of these things which sound cool because they're shaping our narrative so that we become capable of expecting less.
That's exactly what this is about. They want to make you capable. Listen to me. Not just you and I, but our kids. Capable. Lowering the bar till you accept less. But you got to realize this is right out of the Antichrist playbook. That's what you're beginning to see. Let's take a look at a few more of these things and the ideology that they have. I want to show you a commentary by a gentleman that was VP at one of the main Mark of the Beast precursor practice serum factories that put out the the great deal. His name is Mike Yeadon, and he's going to talk about digital IDs and whatnot, and he's really standing up, and we need to pray for this man's protection. But let's take a look at this clip here.
This is a attack on humanity.
Massive.
It starts above the level of nations.
Yes.
That's why down stuff was the
Yep.
thing that leapt at me. It's not in any country's plan.
Yeah.
And yet they all did it at the same time. It's there. That's where it's coming from, above us, above the nation. What they're going to do next, I promise you, I just know it, they're going to impose a digital ID on everybody.
An ID. It's part of the central bank digital scenario. Let's keep going.
It. You do not need it. They need you to have it.
Yep.
Decline it.
Klaus needs you to have it. Decline it.
What else have they got cooking? Central bank digital currencies. Yes, it's very different.
The answer is we just keep saying no, folks. We just keep saying no. We got to say no. He just said decline it. When these things come our way, we got to say no. Absolutely not. How about you move? Let's finish.
Card, because it's a real-time transaction that looks for where you are and what you're buying before it says yes or no. Your current bank card only asks, have you got the money? So when they introduce central bank digital currencies, they'll tell you that, oh no, well, cash will run alongside it. No, I'm confident they're going to find a way of removing cash. Now this is going to involve you in inconvenience, just like declining digital ID.
It's an inconvenience.
It's going to involve you in inconvenience. I think they plan to take digital tyrannical control of everybody.
That's what they're going to do. And you can recognize that's where it's going. Let me show you one more thing. Now, I've been prophesying for the last couple of years now. The Lord has, I believe, shared with us, and we've done our best to share it with you. I hear these things, I sense them, and you begin to repeat them. You say them the best you know to. And here we are coming up on this now. It's becoming more of a mainstream topic. Well, I should say in the undercurrent mainstream, where the real truth really is usually found, especially at this juncture in our society, where truth is a rare commodity. But let's take a look here at another clip by Vera Sharav, and she's talking about WW3. Let's watch this.
Today's concentration camps, promoted as smart cities, are equipped with sophisticated non-stop surveillance technology, ensuring no escape.
That's where we're going.
Who ignited toxic chemical fires within weeks in South Africa,
listen to this.
Norway, Italy, Ohio, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, Hawaii, and Montreal? Food plants and farm animals are also under siege. A barn fire killed 10,000 pigs in Illinois. This is World War III.
Yep.
The objective is to establish the Fourth Reich. We're never vanquished. Our choice is clear. Either we assert our freedom and our rights as free human beings, or we will succumb to a global catastrophe far exceeding the magnitude of the Holocaust.
Okay, let's stop there. I want to say this about this now. There's another thing that's happening, and this is really important. I recently learned this, and so I'm going to show you another commentator in a moment, but it's interesting, and it's just a commentator that happens to be unveiling some of the stuff we're discovering. We found out that one of the #1 places where they want to push the voice for the World Economic Forum and, of all things, this new fourth industrial revolution. They're talking about the fourth industrial revolution, and they want the beachhead of it, or the birthplace of it, to be in the United States, amazingly enough, right out of the state of Utah, of all places. Now, there's a pretty prominent religion in Utah. You recognize that. And there's a lot of things around that you got to consider. Why would they want it there? What's the reason? They want to start the fourth industrial revolution out of Utah with a smart city. They want to start making that the template city, the template area for it, and they're beginning to open this up. So let's watch the commentary on this. I find it fascinating that this gentleman's talking about it.
You look at the series of articles by the Associated Press about and its foothold in Utah. You
The
look
Red
at the
Dragon.
United Nations, the only place they meet out in America outside of New York is Utah.
Red Dragon, United
You look at the
Nations.
World Economic Forum, and they're putting out articles about Utah.
Let me stop this right here. You recognize they're talking about the Red Dragon, the United Nations, and the World Economic Forum all want to do their bidding out of Utah. They've been meeting there. How urban planners design for walkability, lessons from one Utah community. This is back in May 18th, 2023. Fascinating the way they're focusing on this area. Let's keep going.
Leading the way with 15-minute cities. I just hope our listeners realize that you're in a place that matters. Like this is, I really believe Utah is a special place. I truly believe
it is to these dark lords.
This is ground zero. I think we have some of the greatest light and most incredible people, and I would include the company I'm in with here. And I also believe there's also the opposing yin and yang darkness here.
We believe
and it's very clear.
We believe in the gospel.
The World Economic Forum didn't talk about Utah being the birthplace of the fourth industrial revolution.
Let's stop here.
We have a fight.
Look at this. Again, it's saying, Natalie Gochnor, why Utah should be the birthplace of, look at this, the fourth industrial revolution. That's from May 16th, 2019, before the whole world crisis took place. But that's interesting that they're talking about Utah. There's a lot on this. And so we're going to keep our eyes on that state with what's going on. Let's finish this clip.
In our hands. Man, and one of the things I've been starting to see is that we do have some good representatives who care about this stuff and who want to do the right thing. And so I just want to tell you, I'm thankful for you coming on here and having a conversation that people need to hear. And having the boldness to talk about it, because we've seen when some elected officials are approached about this stuff, they want to call it, call this stuff conspiracy or pretend it doesn't exist. And how can we win a battle if we're going to pretend that there is no enemy?
Well, that's good points he's making. And a lot of times people, they grapple for things, and I would venture to guess that there's a lot of persuasion from a different religion here when they begin to say these kind of things. But at the end of the day, the light will be shining in not just Utah, not that kind of stuff, but the light of God is shining into the darkness to expose this. And I feel we have a window. When I say I feel, I sense it. Acts 15 talks about it seemed good to the Holy Spirit and to us that we should do a certain thing. Sending a message to another area is what that context was. But when I'm talking about this, I sense and I feel that the Holy Spirit is bringing light on much of these issues that we're facing right now. And you're part of that light. Listen to me. You're watching right now. We're here together. Please do repost this. But as you're watching, there's light. There's light in Goshen. It was dark in Egypt, but it was light in Goshen. Of course, I talk about that intensely in this book, Breaking Hell's Economy. It's a prophetic word, man. I'll tell you. I'm trying to get people as much hope as I can, and people need to stand up against this nefarious plan. If you don't know what to do, pray. If you don't know what else to do, just stand in faith. God needs his people, the free moral agents, which is you, using your faith, your prayers, all of it. And that's why I write these books, all of it at josephz.com, is so you can stand against this stuff. You can build yourself up. If you don't know what else to do, build yourself up. Because listen, the end is closer and closer all the time, but you don't have to fear it. I find bold voices. There's one woman that stood up very powerfully against some of these things that have happened. And when she did, she stood up in front of all kinds of people and really brought a great strength just to, what's the right word, to push back against their agenda, even saying stand up against them. Then I have a clip I want to show you here about a young reporter that stood up, and it gives me hope and encouragement. And here's why. Because the more of us that can say, hey, not today, not on our watch, maybe we can't stop the ultimate end of these wicked lizard, goblin, pervert, mafia scumbags, but what we can do is we can rise up together and say, no, we're not going to allow this. And I don't care what the media says. I don't care what you label cage me. Many times people use labels so they can cage you and cage your reach, cage your voice. I call it label caging. But here's what I want to say to you is that God is calling you to rise up. So let me show you one young lady that just stood up and honestly says it kind of clear. And I like it. And she's from Real America's Voice. Real America's Voice is a great news network. I know a lot of the people there. Our dear friend Amanda Head is on that. And they're just great people. They're bold. They speak the truth. And I just really like this news network. But they have her on and she makes some statements. So let's watch what she has to say. I like this a lot.
Infiltration of the United States, the hijacking of the United States was essential to reach the point where we are today, again, where they are so close to reaching their goal of installing a society where we are basically stripped of our humanity. I would like to share a message to Klaus for him to tell his own masters
Come
that
on.
my name is Nur bin Laden. I am a human being, not a QR code.
Not a QR code.
I don't want to eat the bugs. I don't want to live in the pod. I don't want to be trapped in a digital jail, and nothing they can do will make me. I want to keep my God-given freedom and my human dignity. They cannot take this away from me, and we will see the day where these people will be tried for their crimes against humanity.
Now that will be a good day, because the Lord needs to help. He needs people that rise up. We think God's just going to do all this stuff. We got to communicate, or I should say cooperate, and really begin to do this, because the Lord wants us to win. God is not wanting anybody captured or put into digital cages and all this kind of stuff that they're trying to do. And I appreciate this woman. I appreciate her standing up and bringing this type of pushback. We are not a QR code. We're not going to do this. I don't want to eat bugs. I don't know about you, but I'm not looking forward to bugs on the menu. I believe that God wants us to stand and see great, great victory. In the middle of darkness, God's called us to rise and shine, and that's the way this operates. Listen, God has called you to be free. The Lord's called you to liberty. Greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. No matter what is going on in the culture right now, we need to arise, shine. There is a emergency alert system test coming to phones, TVs, and radios and across the U.S. Now, here's the thing. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't speculation. This is mainstream news. Many of you probably already know about it, but it's coming up in October. And specifically, this round of it is coming October the 4th. Don't be too surprised. The article says when you get a warning on October 4th around 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, this will come to phones, TVs, and radios all across the U.S. Let's look at this article a little further. That'll be a Wednesday, October 4th, 2023 at approximately 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The article is sarcastically saying, you've been warned, or rather you will be. But don't take it personally. Pretty much everyone in the U.S. will receive the same message. That's the date. Here it is. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, the Federal Communications Commission are scheduled to test their National Wireless Emergency Alert System, which will issue to every television, cell phone, and radio. The run-through will actually consist of two parts: the Emergency Alert System, EAS, and the Wireless Emergency Alerts, WEA. The former will transmit to radios and TVs, while the latter will issue to all consumer cell phones, according to FEMA's announcement earlier this month. Individuals with phones in range of a cell tower will receive a message to the effect of, this is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. No action is needed. Meanwhile, phones set to Spanish will receive the same bulletin in users' default language. Television and radio broadcasts will be interrupted for approximately 1 minute with a message stating this is a nationwide test of the emergency alert system. It's the emergency alert system. It's interesting. Issued by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, covering the United States from 1420 to 1450 hours ET, Eastern Time. This is only a test. No action is required by the public. October 4th will mark the 7th. So this is the 7th time it's been done. Interesting as that is. The 7th instance of the EAS test beamed out to radios and televisions, while it will be only the second nationwide time. The second time nationwide. Despite their frequency, its organizers hopes that the bulletins will only ever need to remain as tests and not deployment for a real emergency. Speaking with the New York Times on August 30th, this gentleman said that Jeff Schlegelmick, director of the National Center for Disaster Preparedness at Columbia University, explained that while there are very few circumstances where you will notify the entire country about something, they remain important since, speaking generally, alerts are only effective if people know what they are and how, and that they know what to do with them. And you recognize, then they use this, and this is an interesting go-to. Check this out, how they tie this in. I'm going to go into this a little bit more. Man, please repost this. I'm going to get into some stuff today that's going to help you. But I'm bringing this out so you know, even from our broadcast, that they are going to do an alert October 4th. But look at this. The New York Times went on to cite the recent deadly fires in Maui, Hawaii, during which the region's emergency management agency decided, amazingly enough, this is even mainstream, they decided against sounding sirens to alert residents. In January 2018, however, I remember this, you guys remember this? Hawaii did receive an emergency alert regarding a supposed incoming ballistic missile attack, only to get a follow-up 38 minutes later, chalking the message up to an incident. It's interesting. I had a prophetic vision about Hawaii several years ago, a dream actually. I woke up and I saw a flash of light coming against Hawaii, or an island like it. It was an island. And I was there and it felt like it was a blast or something nuclear, and the nuclear thing that was taking place was really interesting in that dream and vision. But the point is this, is that they are preparing us and they're getting us ready for more. Now, this could be a big deal. And again, the date they're doing this is going to be October the 4th, I believe, right? The 4th. And October the 4th, and it's going to be a nationwide alert through cell phones, televisions, radios, whatnot. Here's my point in bringing this out. There will be more and more of this, but ultimately they're either going to do something on that day, or they're testing and getting ready for another day that there's either blackouts, power grid failures, some kind of deal where they induce something, I believe, so then they can come on the scene and say, here's what you're going to do, like good cattle and good lemmings. Obey and you'll be fine. This is the plan that we have for you. And I see that coming. Now, here's some interesting things on the heels of this. We know what happened in Hawaii. We know that there was fires. We know that the controversial, was there a laser beam attached to this? Well, this is fascinating stuff. No matter how you view it, what took place in Hawaii, and we've shown you clips of supposed lasers, we've showed you clips of things. The bottom line is, do they have the technology to do it? Yes. Did they actually use it? Likely. But we can't prove it, and that's the way these things work. I think Russell Brand really said it well. Russell Brand came out and he just started kind of ranting. And, I find it interesting with him. He's had such a journey with the Lord that I don't know where he's at with the Lord right now, but he's been getting closer and closer to basically saying we need to follow the Bible and Jesus. And it's interesting, when people are true, actual truth seekers, they begin to discover things about the Lord. And that's how it is. But I find it interesting, Russell Brand's comments about what happened in Hawaii. And then he goes on to say, but look where it led us. Look at where it took us. And if we could, let's show that clip really quick before I go into the next.
They started this fire. They started it with a laser from space. And whether it's true or not, it not only feels true, in terms of its results, it
does.
is kind of true. There is a conspiracy to keep you poor and to benefit rich elites. But it's everywhere. It's almost like water to a fish. It's not a conspiracy. It's just the environment you live in. You live in corruption. Every time there's a disaster or fire, you bet it's going to benefit elites. You bet the poorest people are going to suffer more. Every time you bet they're going to control you more, and rich interests are going to benefit from it. We might not find a smoking or a beaming laser, but you can be sure that rock and the world's most powerful individuals will benefit down the line from this disaster. The trouble is, by then, me and you, unless we're very, very careful, will be focusing on the conspiracy theory or the tragedy of 2024 or 2025. So for now, let's focus on those that are truly suffering. The people of Hawaii who have lost their lives and who have lost their homes. But
well put. We need to focus on the people that are struggling. I don't know if you've watched some of the videos where people are crying out saying, our government, the governor took away our land. They're doing all these things. Now that's serious, and if we can do anything, we will continue to. The very least we can do is pray in Jesus' name for justice for them right now, in the name of the Lord, clarity for them right now, and that somebody with means in that place could stand up and actually expose and bring it out. But you got these global elites like, Oprah and all these people saying, what, that happened, and here I am with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and we just couldn't sit by and let nothing happen. So we need people to donate to this cause. They're billionaires. She's a billionaire, and she's asking citizens who are going through really difficult times to donate to a cause that she could just snap her fingers and probably fix in a moment with one check. It's nonsense. And it just so happens that she's benefiting with land there. Anyway, it's a crazy deal all the way you look at it. But we bless the people. We stand in favor in Jesus' name. And we stand against this nefarious tyranny that's gone on with these individuals. Now, Let's continue here for a moment because I want you to look at this. It's interesting you see what happened here in Maui. And we've been talking about this for several days. But in addition to what's happened in Maui, now we're seeing that there's been a trend going on. You've seen fires in different places. You've seen a lot happening. And something very interesting happened several years ago. If you recall, back when California was on fire, do you remember this? It was like a few years back now. California was on fire. They couldn't quite pinpoint why or what, and it was the same type of issues that happened in Hawaii, where some things were burned, some things were not. And then you got the people that come out and say, oh, you don't know how wildfires work. This is obviously how it is. But at the same time, it happened, and some elites' houses were saved, and some were completely wiped off the map, and neighborhoods were charred, and the fire was just beyond imagination. That happened, and then it was in the news for a while and gone. Now, an interesting thing just happened. I want to pull up an article for you because two major insurance companies regarding California, just did something. I want you to see this. Two major insurance companies, check this out, by the name of, well, I'll just read it to you. Let's go to the headline here. It says, California insurance market rattled, look at this, rattled by withdrawal of major companies. Two of them. Let me read the article to you. Two insurance giants have pulled back from California's home insurance marketplace, saying that increased wildfire risk and soaring construction costs have prompted them to stop writing new policies in the nation's most populous state. Here's the companies. State Farm announced last week it would stop accepting applications for all business and personal lines of property and casualty insurance, citing inflation, a challenging reinsurance market, and rapidly growing catastrophe exposure. The decision did not impact personal auto insurance, however. Interesting. We take seriously our responsibility to manage risk, State Farm said. It is necessary to take these actions now to improve the company's financial strength. Allstate, another insurance powerhouse, announced in November it would pause new homeowners, condo, and commercial insurance policies in California to protect current customers. So, interestingly enough, they're saying in November it ceases. Here's the interesting thing. What do they know about California? Other than just, yeah, it's been kind of bad. You know, they got a crazy, commie government. But, other than that, what do we got going on out there? Here's what I want to say about this. First of all, I honor Pastor Cheon in California. I honor him because he stood up against the nefarious dictatorship out there and stood up so churches could remain open under tyranny. He took it all the way to the Supreme Court and he won. So because of Pastor Cheon, we can't be shut down as churches again by the government. They can't step in and shut us down. Pastors, you need to know that. And thank Cheon for risking his freedom and liberty where they're going to incarcerate him. But instead he took it all the way to the Supreme Court and won. And now nationwide, government cannot demand churches shut down for any reason. I love it. Thank you, Cheon. Now, saying that to say, what do these insurance companies know beyond what they're saying? What do they know? What do they know? Well, I guess one thing we could say is Allstate is pulling their coverage in November, which maybe California will be safe up to November or till the end of November. Thank you, Allstate. You're in quasi good hands. Anyway, it's interesting. So I thought that was a fascinating thing when you're looking at all this. For I am with you. Here's the now word. I am with you, and no one will attack you to hurt you. The Lord spoke this to me yesterday. And he's speaking it to you right now. You and those you love. If you're in the will of God, the Lord spoke this to me, and this is very interesting. It's a multi-layered word in this, and I'm going to say this the best I can, and I got to get to what I was going to talk to you about. For I am with you, and no one will attack you to hurt you. Nobody can touch you. Listen now, for I have many people in this city. Now, Paul was preaching in Corinth, and Corinth was a wild, rowdy town. They were a bunch of heathens that got born again, and they still had the persuasion for all kinds of wild and crazy living. And here's Paul coming along preaching the gospel, and Paul must have been intimidated to a level or scared about what was going on. And the Lord appeared to him and said, do not be afraid. Number one, I am with you. And secondly, I have many people in this town. And it implies that there's many here that you don't even know about, Paul. Many you don't know about. And this is a word to influencers and broadcasters right now. This is a word to the mama bears out there that are standing up. This is a word to many people that are afraid of the culture. They're being intimidated by some thug demon spirit. They're being intimidated by people speaking lies about them. They're being intimidated by those who would have malintent for you. You're being intimidated by people that are making threats and all these things. It's a biblical precedent that when people are doing the will of God, that you get all kinds of, special fans that don't want you to do really what you're called to do. And it can come through the form of family. It can come from the form of friendship betrayal. It can come through the form of church hurt. It can come through the form of political fear. It can come through the form of global crisis fatigue. It comes through many different avenues. The news never tells you anything good except what they want to tell you for their own benefit. Now, when you're looking at this, I'm telling you right now by the word of God, for I am with you, God says to you, and no one will attack you to hurt you, for I have many people in this city. And I believe it's a now word. It's like Elijah when he was in the desert and he was crying out and he said, I alone am left. All the prophets have failed. It's just me out here. It's just me, oh God, it's just me. It's only me, myself, and I. And the Lord said, no, what are you doing here, Elijah? What are you doing here? And then the Lord said to him, I have 7,000 more just like you. And for years, for a long season, we called our partners the Red 7K because we believe that there's 7,000 more just like us that believe God. And we're not alone. You're not alone. This is why we do Red Church. This is why we have our Sunday morning online church, is because we believe so much that you're not alone. It's the Red 7K. It's the remnant. It's the people that serve God and they love God. There's 7,000 more just like you. You are not by yourself. God is saying to you right now through this word, I have many people in this city. I have many people in this nation. I have many people all over watching online right now. We are together in this. And I'm telling you, through all of it, I'm going to be right here for you. I will be right here in the middle of it all. I don't care what they throw at us next, what comes out of the hopper of evil that they mix up in their cauldron of perversion and sickness, and they launch it on the culture. I'm telling you, no matter what comes next, I'm going to be right here for you. Because I'm not intimidated by this thug demon spirit. But listen, one more time. For I am with you. This is what God said to Paul in a very dark age. And I'm saying this to you. I am with you, and no one will attack you to hurt you, for I have many people in this city. That's a now word for you and your heart. You're not alone. We're here too. We're all in this together. Well, I'd like to give you an update on the building project, where we're at, how it's going. As many of you know, we've acquired a brand new building. We're calling it the World Broadcast Center, and we acquired it for 1/4 of its total value. It's an amazing gift from God, and we're so thankful to you and many of you who are watching, standing with us, whether you're a partner or a viewer. We encourage you. I would like to simply ask you if you would help us move the ball down the field. Right now, I'm meeting with our team. Josh Coley, many of the leaders are helping us remodel. We're getting experts in to really build the blueprint of where we want to go. This building will include 2 major studios, meeting space, executive offices for our team, plenty of parking for the style and size of studio meetings we want to do. And I got to tell you, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It is a gift from God that we got this. I'm blown away at what the Lord has done. It is a wonderful thing, and it's marvelous in our eyes. If you're interested in helping us get this building paid in full by the end of the year, we sure would appreciate that. We're believing God for your victory, your breakthrough, and every person that sows in this, that you will have great increase in your life. Well, I am so thankful you're here. You know, this ministry is expanding. We are growing, and it is to the glory of the Lord. And I want to say something to every partner here, whether you are a recent partner or been with us a very long time. From the bottom of our heart, thank you. Partners, because of you, we're taking territory, we're building new media all the time, we're advancing, we're putting out written materials and giving away content all over the world. And we're so grateful to you for it. You send us on journeys that cost nothing to the people who are bringing us in. And I want to say simply to you, thank you. Now, if you want to join our partner family and you're watching, I encourage you to do so today. You go to josephz.com or you can text the keyword GIVE to 719-259-0029. If you join our partner family, you're going to hear from us. We will love on you. We will pray for you. We will stand with you over all your dreams and your visions. And I'm telling you what, Heather and I, we constantly are praying for our partners. So please consider, if you're on the fence, join the partner family and let's do this thing together, both in prayer and generosity. We believe that God is going to make all your purpose, destiny, and dreams come to pass. We're standing with you for it. So thank you for considering partnering with us today. Again, you go to josephz.com. We have a lot of territory to take, and we want to do it together. God bless you. Remember, on a bad day, you're the best there is, and you are called to be and shine the light in darkness. I'll see you again next time right here as we continue bringing a now word of the Lord. God bless you.